Live from the Big G's Pizza Studio on Clark Street, this is 5 Songs with Friends, Chicago's music discovery podcast. Old News is a Midwest-based math rock quartet comprised of jazz school graduates and emo scene veterans alike. The group exploded onto the Midwest indie scene in late 2017 with 2 back-to-back EPs, Consolation Prize and Castro. In the short time since their inception, Old News has already carved out a niche for its experimental, genre-bending take on emo and math rock, all the while opening for scene darlings like Elephant Gym, the Obsessives, Perspective, and a lovely hand to hold. I have Beau Harris here with me of the band. Beau, how are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super excited. So can you tell us a little bit more about kind of how you guys got into, this blending of math rock and emo? I mean, when I think of that, I think of, American football and Tiny Moving Parts. So, how do you guys fit into that whole scene?
So all of us, I guess all of us with the exception of our guitar player, Connor, met while we were at jazz school. And so we have, obviously a love for rock music, but more importantly, we've spent a lot of time playing and experimenting with other genres like jazz, funk, and R&B in particular. And so when we came up with the idea of starting Old News, we knew that we wanted a project where, we could get out the stuff that we wanted to get out emotionally, but also, kind of put our own spin on it. And we have a lot of strengths when it comes to those other genres of music. So we wanted to integrate them and kind of come up with something that hopefully emo and math rock hadn't really seen before.
Yeah, that's super dope. So how did you get into those 2 genres? Because they're, emo, I guess, is a little bit more mainstream, but math rock is, somewhat obscure, even though it, has risen in popularity recently. How did you kind of stumble upon these genres of music?
So I stumbled upon my first math rock record, which was Six Galleries, Breakthroughs in Modern Art. And I remember, I think I was 15 years old. I was in class messing around on YouTube and just thought the album cover was cool. And that's still to this day is one of the most musically formative moments of my entire life. And since then, we just went down the rabbit hole of all these time signatures and tapping guitars and I guess avant-garde elements. And so when we started putting together a band, kind of started off a little bit of an indie rock group, a little bit emo, but we knew that we wanted to kind of tread some water that hadn't necessarily been covered in the way covered. And so when we set up to start Old News, we were like, how can we write really catchy indie rock emo songs, but put them in really weird time signatures, be really cheeky about it.
Nice. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, I think it's a pretty unique sound, and you guys have a really cool take on both of those genres, and it's cool to see you bring them together, especially on this track that we're going to talk about today called Tangled Up. Can you tell me a little bit about this? How did you guys, what's the story behind this song, I guess?
So Tangled Up was the last song that we recorded for our most recent EP, which is Like Glaciers. And we really spent a lot of time on that record, writing songs, rewriting songs, doing pre-production. And the funny thing about Tangled Up is the song that we did the least amount of work on and literally came up with the riffs and then put some lyrics to it within 2 weeks. And I think it's, maybe not all of our favorite songs, but it's definitely really up there and one of my favorites to play. And it definitely just came the most naturally out of all of the songs on the most recent record. And so our kind of idea with Tangled Up was lyrically, it's kind of about friends with benefit situations getting into that kind of blurry area in the middle. Mm-hmm. And which I feel like is in its own way kind of a trope. And so, we wanted to kind of almost phrase it like a pop song, but then we put it in 7 or 7/4. And we just thought that was our own little cheeky wink at trying to make a pop song pretty much.
Nice. Awesome. Well, let's jump into it. Let's play it. People can check it out here. This is a song called Tangled Up by Old News. All right, so that was Tangled Up by Old News. I bet that song sounds like it would be a pretty big crowd pleaser and a lot of fun, get the people going a little bit, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think that one of my favorite moments is, when people start clapping along during the songs. Mm-hmm. And so what we've done is live, we teach everyone the clap pattern to the intro, which is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Oh, nice.
That's just an unorthodox clapping pattern, so the audience gets really into it a lot of the time. And yeah, I think it's definitely a fan pleaser for sure.
That's great. Where are some of your favorite places to play out in? Because you guys are based in Kansas. Where are some of your favorite places to play? In the area and maybe in the Midwest in general.
Sure, we love playing in Kansas City. There's some phenomenal bands. We have some really close friends and ties to that scene in particular. But I would say other than, Kansas and Missouri, on our last tour, we hit Denver and Colorado Springs, and I've never been to Colorado before. So we're actually hitting it at least once on our next tour that we're doing, and then probably later this year as well.
That's fantastic. I bet that's a lot of fun to play. Did you guys have a chance to go kind of explore Red Rocks and stuff like that during the day in between gigs, or did you have to skip over that?
We didn't hit Red Rocks, but since Colorado Springs is so close, we actually ended up staying in Denver the night after. And so we were in Denver all day, but we just we love seeing the sites as if we were people who lived there,
mm-hmm.
So, love finding what's like the coffee shops to go to, where weird places to get clothes, So we went around, found some great coffee at Huckleberry, and then went thrift shopping for a while. And then, of course, there are dispensaries aplenty. So we had a good day.
Nice. I love it. So you guys just came out with Hands Like Glaciers a couple months ago. What can kind of people expect from you in the near future? What are you guys working on? Tour dates, things like that?
Yeah. So actually, just this afternoon, we launched the announcement for our 2019 U.S. tour. And so it's, I think about 20 dates or so. So during May, June, and part of July, we'll be out. And so I think the plan is to do that tour and see where it takes us. And then we've begun the writing and pre-production process for our debut full-length album as well. So there will be a lot more to come on that pretty soon.
Very cool. So what, I guess out there in Kansas and stuff, people might not be, as familiar with the music scene. Who are some of your favorite local bands to gig with out there? Are there any under the radar bands that you think people should know about and you want to give them a quick little shout out?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely check out Mess from Kansas City. They just put out a phenomenal full-length record called Learning How to Talk. Check out Team Tremolo from Wichita. They have a 7-song EP called Intruder that will just give you chills. And then definitely, I think my favorite band that we've played with is this little act called TV Boy, which is a Wichita DIY act with some of the best songwriting that scene has had in a really long time. And they're working on an EP right now as well, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Fantastic.
So if people like what they heard, where can they keep in touch with you, find your music, check out this tour you got coming up, things like that?
So for all social media, our handle is @OldNewsICT, and that's Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So definitely keep up with that to check out tour dates, but definitely check out our Spotify if you want to check out the music, and it should be pretty easy to find these days.
Awesome. Well, Beau, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. This has been awesome. Looking forward to it. Are you guys, I haven't had a chance to look over your tour dates. Are you making your way to Chicago on this tour?
Yeah, we are. I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but we're hitting Chicago on the first leg of the summer tour, and then we're going to have actually a day off in Chicago on the way back. So we're going to try to pick up some live sessions there. Oh,
wonderful. That's good. So like hitting up Audio Tree and some of those guys?
Yeah, I sincerely doubt we'll be able to get Audio Tree, but we're hoping to find one a little bit smaller,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good stuff, man. I look forward to it. I'll do everything I can to make it out to that show out here. I'm looking forward to it, man. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Take it easy.